light in the window is a crack in the sky. Modern Guitar School is online. A very warm welcome to all of you. Before we get started, I'd like to say something personal. This workshop is dedicated to Ozzy Osbourne, who, as you surely heard, passed away a few days ago. With his music, his voice, and his unique charisma, he influenced generations of musicians. He always had the best guitarists in the world with him. Just think of Randy Rhoads, Zakk Wylde, J.K. Lee, just to name a few. Incredible, exceptional guitarists. And today we'll be focusing on a song from the Zakk Wylde era. For me, it's one of my favorite songs, I have to say. The riff is just so brutal, unbelievable. We're talking about No More Tears from the album of the same name. From 1991, this album shows Ozzy Osbourne at his vocal peak. And likewise, Zakk Wylde was absolutely at the top of his game. I'm going to split this workshop into two parts. Part 1 will be me showing and explaining the riff to you. Part 2 will be about how Zakk created that unbelievably brutal sound on the album. For that, I'll explain every component to you so you can recreate this sound yourself. Okay, have fun with it. You already heard it earlier in the intro. Yeah, but here's another short excerpt of the main riff that we're about to play. So what makes this riff special? First off, you're in a special tuning. You need to tune your guitar down by a half step. All 6 strings completely. And then additionally tune the thick E string down to C sharp. So in terms of tuning, you have C sharp, G sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A sharp, and D sharp as your notes. I'll also show you the tuning here again so you can retune your guitar. This means that when you play the lowest 3 strings, a powerful C-sharp power chord, a full sound. The fingering is actually quite simple, you'll see in a moment. It starts with the open strings, then goes to a small bar on the 3rd fret. And then back to the open strings. Then it moves to the 5th fret. And after that, you slide into the 6th fret. The 6th fret is the tritone. A pretty psycho-sounding interval. So if you consider C sharp as the root, then the 6th fret is the tritone. He slides into the tritone from the 5th to the 6th fret. I'll show you that very slowly. It sounds even darker if you use a bit of palm muting. And let the slide into the 6th fret ring out again. And then another Zakk Wylde trademark comes in, namely his pinch harmonics, which he uses all the time. Really? He takes the 3rd fret at the end of the riff, 2nd part, and produces a harmonic. Depending on where you hit the string with the outside of your thumb, you get a pinch harmonic. So the whole riff again. At the end, that nice dramatic squeal, as some people call it. That's actually already the main riff. You also need the following attitude, so it really sounds like that heavy lumbering steam locomotive starting up. Namely, Zakk plays a little behind the beat. You can play ahead of the drum beat, which makes it sound a bit rushed. You can play exactly on the beat, and you can also play a bit laid back behind the beat. It sounds a bit like the guitar is dragging a little behind the drum beat, and that's what makes it so heavy and so heavy. So try to mentally pull the handbrake a bit and play slightly laid back, this riff. The next point, which will probably interest you even more, how did Zakk create this unbelievably fat sound? I'll start right at the beginning of the signal chain, so with the guitar. Zakk plays Les Pauls, as probably everyone knows. I'm also a huge Les Paul fan. I love the look, the feel, and the fat sound of this guitar. To achieve the tuning I explained to you earlier, it would be advisable to use fairly thick strings. At the moment, I have 10 to 52 on here. The advantage is that the downtuned E string still has enough tension, and that you don't push it out of intonation when you press down at the 3rd fret. because with thin strings, it can quickly happen that the tuning is no longer accurate. So it's best to buy a mixed set. Light on the bottom, like 10s, and a bit heavier on top, for example 52. He played a Les Paul custom for this recording. I have one too, I'll show you. So this is my Les Paul custom from '81. I'll try to hold it up to the camera. Here it is, the good piece. An absolute dream guitar. But I couldn't record with it because it doesn't have the right pickups. Because Zakk uses EMG pickups. I'll show you. So these are the EMG pickups. They're active pickups with quite a lot of output. They're very defined. They really sound fantastic. There are some people who say they sound cold and sterile. In my opinion, that's complete nonsense. Otherwise, David Gilmour certainly wouldn't play them either. So, all the things people say about them are really funny. Zakk Wylde's custom from '81, I'll show it here, also has a funny story, because it was originally completely white. When it came time for a photo shoot with the Ozzy Osbourne band, Zakk thought, oh man, I can't just show up with a white Les Paul. Because that was actually Randy Rhoads' trademark. I have to come up with something. He wanted the Vertigo design from Alfred Hitchcock, I'll show you that too, but he got it back painted the way you know it. And then he thought, okay, whatever, I'll just take the thing now. And that actually became his trademark guitar, just like Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstein. So everyone knows this design, and it's really a total eye-catcher. Absolutely brilliant, executed perfectly. Another fun fact about this guitar, the white Les Paul from Zakk Wylde, by the way, he called it the Grail, so it was like the holy grail for him, is that it was stolen from the tour bus in 2000 and resurfaced in 2003. Apparently, some fan wanted to buy it in a used guitar shop. He then noticed that the guitar had Zakk Wylde's initials under the pickup, and he contacted good old Zakk, who was probably absolutely thrilled. Okay, let's continue with the signal chain. So, it goes from the 1981 Les Paul with EMG pickups into a Boss SD1. That's an overdrive pedal. But Zakk didn't set it up to create a lot of distortion. Instead, he used it more to boost his input. That means you turn the level on this effects unit up quite a bit. And then, in combination with the EMG pickups, you get... This already gives the amp a pretty hot input, which causes the amp to distort more quickly and also increases its assertiveness, because this pedal sounds quite mid-focused. So it also boosted the mids a bit. Okay, now we come to the real width maker, the Boss CH1. That's a stereo chorus. Zakk used this pedal back then. He still uses chorus pedals, but now from the company MXR. This pedal makes the sound stereo. I'll explain to you now how that works. So you come from your Boss SD1. The signal is slightly boosted. It goes into the input of the chorus. The chorus has two outputs, and these two outputs are used so you can drive two different Marshall heads. I'll show you Zakk's pedal board from that time, for everyone who doesn't quite believe it. And from there, as I said, it goes into the Marshall heads. On one side, the Marshall head receives the direct signal unchanged. On the other side, the signal arrives slightly modulated. That means the chorus adds a very slight detuning. And the chorus also adds, depending on the setting, a slight delay, specifically between 5 and 30 milliseconds. You have surely heard the effect before, one violin played alone or an orchestra with lots of string instruments, and you hear this huge wall of sound coming at you when you listen to the orchestra. Why is that? We're not machines. None of us play exactly in sync. That means the different violinists have very slight differences in their speed, in how they play, so they're just a few milliseconds apart from each other, and they're also not all tuned exactly the same. And that's what the chorus does. It adds to your signal, your dry signal on one side of the Marshall amp, a slightly delayed and slightly modulated signal. That's what creates this enormous width. So basically a mono sound becomes a stereo sound. I've made a little demo for you about this. A comparison between the riff with stereo chorus, like Second uses it, and the same sound but without chorus. take a look at it. It would be good if you used a decent playback system, meaning either good headphones or a pair of studio monitors, so you can really perceive the difference in sound. Because with a small phone speaker, I think it won't be that noticeable. I'll start now. With the chorus on. Okay, it's already playing with the distinctive main riff. Okay, and now let's turn the chorus off. The same riff. We'll do the same thing again with the bridge. Then you can hear those nice big chords with the chorus. Chorus off. Okay. So you can clearly hear how the chorus spreads out the stereo image. It sounds much bigger, much wider. Especially when you're playing guitar alone live, you still get the effect that it sounds a bit like it's doubled. Okay, my dears, that was my tribute to the wonderful Ozzy Osbourne and one of his amazing guitarists, Zakk Wylde. If you enjoyed that, we'll continue next Sunday. In the next workshop, I'll show you how to build a good rock sound from scratch, whether that's with a modeler or a real amp. I'll explain it from the ground up because lately I've been constantly getting requests from you. Christian, how do you make that sound? Explain it or send me your Kemper files and so on. I'll explain to you how to do it yourself, starting from the basics, so definitely tune in and we'll really get your sound right, fat. So, my dear friends, my spontaneous workshop ended up being a bit longer than planned, but I wanted to share all the details that lead to a great sound and also give a little credit to the good Ozzy. If you enjoyed it, please be so kind and give me a like. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Oh, and by the way, there's now a new super like feature. You can find it below the video. It says Hyper. If you press this button, it's like this. Basically, it's like a double or even triple like. I would be really happy if you could give me one. It helps the channel get more exposure and more people can benefit from it. All right, then I'd say go check out the stereo chorus. Is the guitar in tune? Tune it lower, solder in the EMGs, and really rock out like Zakk Wylde. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you next week.